Right. Well, as I looked at the most common reasons for board discipline against counselors in the state of Florida, I didn't find anything necessarily specifically on the board website, but I read an article from an ACA sponsored knowledge center, Vistas Online. And Article 39 is called Licensure Board Actions Against Professional Counselors. Implications for Counselor Training and Practice by Emmanuel Ahaya and Peter Bokan. They did a study of the top reasons for disciplinary actions in the counseling profession, and they looked at 30 states, Florida being one of them. And the top reasons that they mentioned for counselors being held to disciplinary action were the failure to meet continuing education requirements and dual relationships, and then unprofessional conduct. They also did had a different category of ethical complaints, reasons for ethical complaints from clients, and the top reasons were dual relationships, professional misrepresentation, so saying that you're qualified to do something that you're not, and sexual relationships and breaches of confidentiality. One of the cases that I looked at was of Nathan Christopher Bell, who was a LMHC in Florida, and he was counseling a couple who were going through marital issues, and the couple ended up getting a divorce anyway, and the wife in of the couple, she continued on with counseling one-on-one with this counselor, and at one point the counselor conveyed to this woman that he had inappropriate feelings for her, and they continued to continue the relationship of counselor client. And about a month later, there was some sexually inappropriate misconduct on the part of the counselor, and they go into detail of what that looked like. But it happened, and the counselor, I'm assuming he realized his wrong, and they ended the sexual relationship, and he also stepped down from the as president of the organization he was at, and he also turned himself in. Case went to court. The ruling was that his license would be revoked, and so that was their conclusion. And so yeah, my reaction to looking at all the cases, and in this case in particular, was just humility. I mean, it was humbling to see how many cases there are, and to see the variety of reasons that cases are brought to court in the first place. And yeah, my reaction was also just, we need accountability, just the importance of having accountability, and to not get lackadaisical in our practice, to keep a constant watch on our emotions, and be able to have boundaries. And the ACA code that was violated in the case that I mentioned was A5A, sexual and or romantic relationships prohibited. Sexual and romantic counselor-client interactions or relationships with current clients, their romantic partners, or their family members are prohibited. This prohibition applies to both in-person and electronic interactions or relationships. And as far as what does the ACA and Florida State say about impairment, the ACA basically, just summarize it basically says to self-monitor. The counselor should self-monitor and get help if there's an issue, and potentially suspend your practice until you're ready to until it's safe for the client to be back in practice, and that it's supervisors and fellow counselors, we're meant to hold each other accountable. And then the Florida statute 491.009 P says basically that the state general, state surgeon general, um, can require a mandatory mental health evaluation if there's an issue brought to their attention. And then if the counselor refuses, then it can be brought to court. It can become a court-ordered mental health evaluation at that point. Um, and then that at reasonable intervals, the the counselor can try to prove that they're back to where they need to be in order to counsel again. The question that comes to mind is how can we lessen the amount of cases? I'm wondering what sort of ways we could hold each other accountable. I'm wondering if there's like a support group or support groups for counselors to help each other and encourage each other to keep a watch on potential issues.